Welcome to Personal Training Tip of the Week. My name is Chris Williams at NPTI, Florida. Today we're looking at an advancement on the overhead squat assessment. In the undergraduate diploma, we look at the both leg, both arms, overhead squat assessment. So we can put both arms overhead, palms facing forward. Ideally, the arms will dissect the ears, and we get our client to perform at least 10 squats. We look for pronation distortion syndrome, which is the knees indeed knocking or adducting, the subtalar joint everting. From the side, we look for excessive curvature of the lumbo-pelvic hip complex, and also to some degree head facing forward. That's on the undergraduate, but today we're on the advanced program, so we're going to be looking at tests that are suitable for professional athletes, high-level fitness enthusiasts. And so what we're going to do is a single leg squat assessment. So in this regard, we're going to have both hands on our client's hips, and he or she will choose one leg and we'll perform about 5 repetitions on each side. So when you're ready, Ryan, if you can do 5 on your left. And to expedite the process, let's say that's 5. Let's do 5 on the other. If we can, as best we can. Okay. And Ryan is quite an athlete, so there is some issues, but not alarming issues. Let's go back on your left leg. Historically, what you will see is, again, you'll see the pronation distortion syndrome, which is the knee collapsing, creating a Q angle here and a valgus force at the knee. But also on the opposite side, and this is what we want to address today. On the opposite side, you will see a hip hike. So if you want to go down again for me, Ryan, and you'll see the hip hikes up. You will see by that diagonal here. And often the hip hike occurs because of, if I can just get you to turn around for me and face away from the camera. Thank you. Because of the quadratus lumborum. We call them the QL in our profession. And they are muscles that are down here towards the base of the lower back or lumbar spine. And their primary role is to laterally flex. Laterally flex meaning this and this, but they also help as spinal extensors. Okay? So in the case, if I can turn you around again, in the case where you've identified that your client has got that hip hike, you will need to, on the opposite side of the leg, so we can get you to perform this again. We're on this side, that's what we call the stance leg. This side here is the opposite side to the stance leg. We have a hip hike where the hip is lifted. So the QL we've recognized opposite the stance leg is overactive. So what we essentially need to do is we need to self-myofascial release or foam roll as best we can this side. Now remember, when you are looking at deeper muscles of the body, it's very, very hard to isolate those, if not impossible to isolate those, to actually foam roll or stretch it. So there's other muscles that you will also be including in those types of stretch. But what we're going to do is we're going to place a lacrosse ball in the lower part of the back to identify where the knot and adhesion is within that QL, quadratus lumborum, and we're going to release that knot. And then we're going to stretch the same side. So this is the process that we use. Okay? So what we have here is a mat for creature comforts, but also we have a lacrosse ball. You don't have to use a lacrosse ball. You can use some type of a low density roller, and there's loads out there on the market. But the area that we need to indeed tap into, as we identified before, is the musculature of the back, lower back. So what Ryan's going to do is place that down here, and he's going to position the QL as best he can on that lacrosse ball. And we're doing it on the side that he's overactive. So we've identified that his right side was the side that was hiking up, so that he had more lateral flexion. So that's the side that he's foam rolling. And we call it self-myofascial release. The underpinning physiology is autogenic inhibition or muscle spindle inhibition. And it's going to hold that for about 30 seconds. So in this case, we're going to expedite the process. So this is 30 seconds. Hopefully that particular muscle has indeed relaxed itself. So now what we're going to do is stretch it out, okay? And this is how you stretch out, or one of many stretches, I should say, for the quadratus lumborum. So jump up for me 1 second. And we're going to make our way to the edge of that bench over here. So we want to stretch the same muscle that indeed we were foam rolling. So in this case, it was the right hand side. So as you can see here, Ryan is sitting off the edge of the bench quite a bit. He's going to have his right leg straight, and the other modification is to drop the hip down on this side. It's just holding on slightly there, so we're extending this side. And now what he's going to do is take the arm overhead and laterally flex. Okay, keeping the head in a tucked and neutral position, laterally flex to make sure we stretch that side out there like so. All right, so just don't lean back as much, good. But laterally flex or side bend, can you feel that down there? Yeah. And we're going to hold that for about 30 seconds. So it's very important to SMR and then stretch the same muscle. Okay, and relax for me there. So like I said, it's one of many stretches. Another alternative, if I can get you to stand up and face that way for me. That's it, perfect. So in this regard, we're going to put the left leg behind you. Okay. And the right leg across your body. And now we're going to go this way. So again, and as I said before, it's virtually impossible to stretch the QL without bringing other muscles into play, such as latissimus dorsi as an example. Okay, so laterally flex. And the QL on this side is what we're aiming to feel, yeah? How's that feel? All good? Yeah. And relax for me there. So now that we have effectively released this side, we now need to strengthen the opposite side. So there's always one side that's going to be overactive, which in this case is this side, and the other side meaning it's underactive right here. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to get a dumbbell. I'm going to give Brian the dumbbell. And if we can get you to face this way again for me, please. If it's the right side here, so we're going to place it in this hand. And so what he's going to do is lower on this side. So it is a single arm, like a suitcase carry type of an action. He's going to laterally flex there. But now when he comes up, he's going to use this side to bring him up. Okay? So the resistance is against the muscle that needs to work to bring him back up to a fully extended position, like so. How's that feeling? All good? Yeah. Nice job. Let's do a couple of more. So it's a very precise movement. It's not one that's going to get your heart rate terribly high, but we're looking at corrective exercise, okay? And so to reduce that lateral alignment of the spine and any alteration in the pelvis while you're doing a single leg squat assessment or when you're doing an ordinary squat, this is what you need to do. And relax there for me. Well done. Another exercise that we can also do, and I'm going to use Kristen for this if we can, is a very simple diagonal wall stand with lateral flexion to extension. So another strengthening exercise that we like is a very simple one if you don't have dumbbells at home, is to do a diagonal to the door, as you can clearly see as Kristen goes down here. This is lateral flexion. Stop there 1 second. So she's feeling a stretch on this side. Now the muscles on this side needs to contract to straighten your body back up into a straight alignment. So this is just another adaptation for training the underactive side. So another exercise that we can use to address any pelvic dysfunction with regards to hip hike or rotation at the lumbopelvic hip complex is to do a single dumbbell hold like such and a marching on the spot. Now the reason we're loading one side of the body is to try and ensure that the crease here or the pelvic area is horizontal, and so is the area here. So I'm going to get Ryan to actually march on the spot and give me 10 of those high knee marches, but I'm looking for any alterations, asymmetric shifts and alterations that may occur as a consequence of him being loaded on one side. After you do 10 reps on one side, we're just going to reverse and perform the same activity on the left hand side. Okay, so dorsiflex the foot as you lift, and let's try and get that knee just a little bit above hip height if you can. That's good. And you can speed it up, because anytime the movement is a little bit more dynamic or faster, that's where the asymmetries start to be highlighted a whole lot more. Okay, and change up to the next side for me. Thank you. And again, after we've done the isolation work, we're now just integrating some movement patterns, functional movement patterns, to see how well our work that preceded it is. And that's your personal training tip of the week from NPTI Florida.
Thanks for following NPTI Florida, Orlando, Tampa locations. I'm Pat Sherman. We appreciate you guys following us on Instagram, Facebook. Also subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to do a great job this year and giving you guys as much information about the personal training, health, and wellness industries as possible. We have 2 programs, 600 hours, ACCSC accredited, personal training, as well as advanced health coaching and youth fitness and nutrition. Once again, thanks for following us. We look forward to helping you out this year.